In a quiet Georgia neighborhood, under clear skies and ordinary routines, a young man who believed he had found love would lose his life in a way no one saw coming. What began as a private relationship, filled with messages, late-night conversations, and hope, would end in gunfire, police lights, and unanswered questions. This is the true story of how trust, secrecy, and fear collided, and how one discovery changed everything. The rapper was known locally for his ambition. He wasn't famous yet, but he was on his way. Friends described him as focused, creative, and driven, someone who spent more time in the studio than on the streets. Music wasn't just a passion, it was his plan for the future. He had recently moved into a modern apartment complex in Georgia, a place that symbolized progress. Clean buildings, palm trees lining the driveways, neighbors who waved in passing. To those around him, his life appeared stable and promising. But behind closed doors, something new had entered his world. A relationship. They met quietly, not through the spotlight or social media, but through conversation. What started casually grew into something deeper. Text messages turned into calls. Calls turned into late nights together. He shared his dreams, his fears, his frustrations about the music industry. To him, it felt real. Friends later said he seemed happy, distracted in a good way. He smiled more. He talked about the future. He spoke about someone who understood him. What he didn't know was that there was a truth being withheld, one that would eventually unravel everything. As the weeks passed, the relationship intensified. They spent more time together and expectations grew. With closeness comes vulnerability. And with vulnerability comes questions. Investigators later discovered that the rapper had begun noticing inconsistencies. Small things at first, stories that didn't fully line up, avoided topics, moments of hesitation. First he brushed them off, but then came the discovery. Exactly how he learned the truth varies depending on accounts. Some say it was through messages, others say through a conversation that couldn't be avoided anymore. What is known is that the information shocked him deeply. It challenged what he believed he knew about the person he trusted. Friends say he felt confused, betrayed, overwhelmed. He didn't react violently. He didn't threaten anyone. Instead, he wanted answers. And that desire for clarity led to a meeting that would become fatal. On the day of the shooting, surveillance footage later showed the rapper meeting with a person he had been involved with near his apartment complex. It was daytime, bright, ordinary. There was no sign of danger. Witnesses reported seeing them talking. First it looked calm, but voices soon rose. The conversation grew tense. The rapper appeared animated, gesturing, questioning, demanding honesty. What happened next unfolded in seconds. A gun was produced. Shots rang out. Residents nearby described the sound as sharp and sudden. Not like fireworks, but unmistakably gunfire. Some thought it was a car backfiring. Others immediately knew something was wrong. By the time people stepped outside, the rapper was on the ground. The person he had trusted was gone. Police arrived quickly. The scene was secured. Neighbors watched from balconies and sidewalks, confused and shaken. Officers attempted life-saving measures, but the wounds were severe. The young rapper was pronounced dead at the scene. He was gone just like that. What stunned investigators was the absence of robbery. His jewelry was still on him. His phone was nearby. Nothing appeared taken. This wasn't about money. This was personal. As detectives began reconstructing the timeline, the truth slowly surfaced. Text messages, call logs, and witness statements painted a picture of emotional turmoil in the hours leading up to the shooting. Messages showed arguments about honesty, about fear, about consequences. Friends of the suspect later told police that panic had taken hold. Panic about rejection, panic about exposure, panic about what would happen if the truth became public. Instead of walking away, a gun was used. Within 2 days, authorities identified and arrested the suspect. The weapon was recovered. The story unraveled. During interrogation, the suspect admitted to the shooting but claimed it was driven by fear. Fear of what the confrontation meant, fear of the reaction, fear of losing control of the situation. Prosecutors weren't convinced. They described the act as intentional, unnecessary, and irreversible. The case quickly spread across social media. Opinions exploded. Some people focused on deception, others on identity. Many argued online, turning the tragedy into debate instead of reflection. But investigators made one thing clear: no personal revelation ever justifies murder. No fear excuses pulling a trigger. In court, the rapper's family sat in silence as evidence was presented. Photos, messages, surveillance clips. His mother later spoke through tears, describing her son as trusting and kind, someone who believed in people sometimes too much. He loved deeply, she said, and that love is what got him killed. Friends testified about his plans, albums he hadn't finished, performances he was excited about, goals he talked about constantly. All of it gone. The defense argued emotional distress. Prosecutors argued responsibility. They reminded the court that when faced with uncomfortable truth, there are choices. Leave, talk, walk away. Violence is not one of them. The jury agreed. The suspect was convicted and now faces decades behind bars, a life altered forever by one irreversible decision. Today, the rapper's music still circulates online. Unreleased tracks, old videos, lyrics filled with hope and ambition. Fans leave comments asking what could have been. Friends still struggle with the loss, not just of a person but of potential. This case is not just about crime. It's about communication, honesty, fear, and how quickly emotions can escalate when people feel cornered. One conversation, one secret, one moment, and a life was lost. In the end, the truth didn't kill him. The bullet did. And it serves as a chilling reminder. No discovery is worth a death.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.